Good evening, Inspired Nation. Hope everybody has had a fantastic day. We are going to give everybody a few minutes to jump on, and here we go. Let's see. I'm going to come over here so that I can see the comments and see who is jumping on. So there we go. All right, so we're going to, here we go.
Good evening, Inspired Nation.
That's all I need. It's everything going twice, two different ways. There we go. All right, so tonight's topic is just for us to think about whether or not referral marketing is something that would benefit your business. And it really is, my desire tonight would be to have a Q&A. Whether or not you want to ask me any questions, how would referral marketing work for you in your industry? I've got some things that obviously I'm going to share, that we've put together of ways that we know that when we've worked with clients, and I'm just going to try to pull this up again, and, some different things that we have. So if you're jumping on here, make sure you say hello, and if you will share where you're from, and of course your industry or company name. Go ahead and throw out there in the comments your Facebook handle for your business so that people can have that opportunity to go and learn more about you and like your page. So that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and put that down in the comments. And then of course, I'm going to look on, try to look at both screens to see any questions out there. But really the topic I wanted to talk about tonight is, whether or not you're ready to discover if referral marketing is the solution for your business. And one of the things that I really wanted to outline is just what exactly causes people to say, yes, I need that. And let me just kind of describe typically the client that comes to me and is sitting on the other side of the desk for me when I first meet them. A lot of times what it is they're frustrated. Things that they've tried in the past just doesn't seem to work for them. And I always say it always seems like it works for everyone else. And then, when you're asking someone, well, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? It sounds so easy, when they say it or they apply it to their business. And then when you go out there and try to duplicate that for yours, it's not necessarily working the same way. And what I have found over the years is maybe the reason why it's working for them is the technique or the skill set that they're using is within their comfort zone. Okay, it's within their comfort zone or their personality traits or their skill sets. And so, so it does make it look a lot easier when they try to execute that. And then when you go do it, it doesn't feel the same. It's equally frustrating though when they're in your same industry or they work at your same company, because you're sitting there thinking we've got the same product, we're going to the same places, we're meeting the same people. Why does it look so easy for them to pick up clients and it's, and I'm struggling with it? Well, I always share this. This kind of comes back to something that I experienced when I was brand new I had been put on the marketing team for an accounting firm, and I didn't have a clue at all. I had gone to school to be an accountant. I, took whatever marketing class they made us take that was, to get my degree, but I had no training whatsoever on how to go out there and build a book of business. And so I remember we would get a weekly report of all the new clients that have been brought into the firm and who brought it in. And, just like any great firm, they did, some incentive programs, recognitions on those who had brought in the most clients for the month. And there was one of the partners on there. His name was just always right up at the top. And he was just one of those people, because I got so frustrated. Nothing that I was trying was working. Like I wasn't picking up any clients. I was collecting business cards. And and it was just very frustrating. And so some of the advice that I'd been given, I remember we were given a book, how to grow your accounting firm or how to market your accounting firm. And like none of it resonated with me at all. And so I went to the partner that was picking up all the clients, and I just said, can I just, uh, shadow you for a little bit and just see, what works for you, and just see if I can, copy some of that to see if I can, duplicate the results. And so I remember he was like, sure, these are some things that I do. And like everything that he listed that worked for him, I couldn't even identify with it. Like it was things that because of the age of his kids made it look really easy to network, out of the ball field. And, or, just, he picked up clients from church and he picked up this. And I was just like, but how? I was like, it just didn't make sense to me. I had a 6-month-old. I mean, I was like, when is all this supposed to happen? And I laugh to this day because I swear he was someone, and I know some of you probably know this person. He was someone that could walk out of the building in the parking lot, forget something, turn around and go back inside, and somehow in that turnaround in the parking lot picked up a client. Like he made it look that easy. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. And so if that sounds anything like your experience, then know that there is an answer, because the answer that I discovered was referral marketing. I discovered, how to use my words and who to surround myself with, and actually create a strategy that if I said this, and I shared this other night when we had our co-host on here, Charlene, that she's a client. And the one thing that she said to me when we first started working with each other, she goes, it just has to make sense to me. It has to be, her words, linear. And, so A plus B equals C. And so that I love, because I was like, okay, well, if I give you a system where if you do this and you apply this method and you work on this skill set, it will achieve the results on the other side of it. Would that be appealing to you? And she was like, yes. And I was like, well, we've got it. And so we just have to break it down and find which skill sets, which roadblocks are your roadblocks, which strengths are your strengths. But the way that you move through the strategy and build a strategy, if you do these things, you will generate referrals for yourself on the other side of it. And it is a process. And, it's something that I didn't just, people ask me, do you buy your material from somewhere? The answer to that is no. Everything that I train, everything that I teach, a lot of it comes from things that I learned over the years when I had to go grow my accounting firm, things that I needed, things that I needed to do that I didn't know how to do it. Like I was intimidated. So let's see if this resonates with any of you. How many of you have ever been told to just go reach out to certain industries, either that they're in certain roles with a company, or they're the owners, or, for whatever reason, that role that, that person that you've been told to go out and reach out to, you feel you have no value to that conversation. Like it intimidates you to think that you have to call that person, and that if you were to sit down with them and talk with them, then what would you have to say? And that's one of the things that used to hold me back, because again, I'll just go back to where I learned referral marketing, and it was when I was, trying to grow my accounting firm. And so I remember, people would give me the advice, go call the banker so-and-so, go call, the insurance, the owner of this insurance company and all this. And I was thinking, why would they ever want to meet with me? What would we talk about? I don't have clients to send them. That's why, I need to meet with them. And then how do I get them to send me their clients? And like I had way more questions than I had answers. And all of those questions were just building roadblocks after roadblocks after roadblocks for me, to the point to where, the last thing I wanted to do was to get out there and go to networking events, to do lunch and learns, to invite anyone to a business lunch. Okay. And those were the things that were just keep holding me back. Maybe this resonates with some of you. How many of you have attended events or paid for memberships or paid for your employees to go to events? And when they come back, because this is what happened to us, we'd come back to the marketing team meeting, and I remember the partners would say, okay, let's do a debrief. What did you guys do last week? And we would come and, we would have all these business cards, from the fish bowl, that you would do the drawings, or you would have all these contacts, and we'd come back with a fish bowl of cards, and they would say, great, so how many appointments do you guys have set up, or how many new clients do you have? And the answer was 0. Like, there was no conversion from collecting a business card at a networking event to closed business. And I just felt like such a failure. And, like I had, 3 heads, or I told somebody one time, I said, I felt like when I was walking into the room, everyone would look at me and literally be going, why is she here? And you and I all know, as you're growing up into your career, people aren't as bad as what you make out in your head. They're out there just trying to make connections just as bad as you are. But for that person that I was back then, I didn't know all that. And so feeling like I didn't have a system, feeling like I had no training whatsoever. And we're not talking about sales training. Okay, we're not talking about that I was sitting in front of a prospect and discovering their needs and trying to fit into, our whatever the solution was going to be for them. We're not talking about that. We're talking about generating the opportunity to begin with. And I was really lacking in those skill sets. So when I did discover referral marketing, it was very appealing to me, especially when it didn't take very long to actually generate referrals. And then the referrals, and I'll admit, the referrals that I got in the very beginning, I remember going into the partners and going, I got a referral. I've got somebody that wants to talk to us. And I had never quoted our services before, so I needed help. So I'd sit down and I'd talk to the partners, and they would ask me about the referral, and I'd tell, and you could just have this look on their face. I'm so embarrassed to even think about this. So, like, they would just have this look on their face like, this poor chick, she thinks this is a good referral. Like, I was just excited someone wanted to talk to me. Like, there was no valuing of the quality of the referral at the time. Like, I was just excited I had generated a referral. And so thank goodness, as time went, I began to use my words more strategically, began to educate my referral partners, and began to really understand that what type of client I wanted, and also the type of client that was less desirable. It could have been the industry, it could have been it could have been the personality style, it could have been their ability to pay us on time. I mean, we all, and I'm sure any of you are watching this, even if you're watching this back on replay, every one of us within our own industries have our own challenges, right? And what can make a client desirable or undesirable. And it's funny, in the very beginning of growing your business, how you're willing to overlook some of those undesirable traits, because let's face it, you want to close business, you want to have some money in the bank. And then as you begin to mature as a business owner, and you begin to realize that you're actually losing money sometimes by saying yes, and that you actually make more money sometimes by saying no, and you begin to mature into that process. And what I found is that in that closing scenario, you're maturing, but also in the referral marketing, you have to mature. You have to mature in the type of words. You have to begin to recognize your word choice will actually generate the results you're desiring, and that the more targeted you are with your words, then the odds are you're going to get closer and closer to your target market. And I think that's a powerful thing to think about, is that if I use my words strategically and I surround myself strategically with professionals that can be a part of my success story, then ultimately the results that come, that I'm generating for my business is, the target markets that I wish to work with. And, so that's something I love to share, because, I've been training referral marketing almost 20, in fact, well, I have been training it for almost 20 years now. And, what seems so simple to me now, the way that I think about referrals, the way that I think about generating opportunities, who I think is a great connector for me, how to even reach out to them and have them want to connect with me, how to share the information, which, sometimes I'll decide which part of my business I want to focus on, and I'll begin to use those words. And so that to me has been a game changer over the years. And I understand that when I'm training, because I'll have clients and they'll go, it just makes so much sense when I hear you say it. And then they go try to execute it on their own, and they'll start, just like I did, they'll start putting those roadblocks up there. And I know that, that it is a very simple process that we train. Now, it's got a lot of steps, to it, but the actual process, I showed last night, that we have 8 phases, but 7 of them is really more about building the foundation of your referral marketing strategy, understanding terminology, just recognizing that there's different terminology in sales mode than there is in referral marketing mode. There's different ways that you approach a networking event. There's different ways in which you approach or schedule your time through the week. The whole thing about, some people have heard the book or read the book, Never Eat Alone. Well, my thing is, well, who are you eating with? Sometimes it's about being very strategic in, are you meeting with prospects? Are you meeting with referral generators? Are you meeting with people that are an asset to your business? Or are you meeting with people who are draining your energy and your time and everything else from your business? So it's about being very aware of where you're putting your time, your money, your energy, your efforts, because it all really does affect your bottom line. And then one of the things that I do love to do, I love helping, and I didn't realize that this was one of those things that kind of ended up surprising me as I began to explore all this referral marketing, is I didn't realize I was really good at it until other people in my industry started, wanting to sit down with me and say, well, how are you generating these referrals for yourself? And how are you, growing your business? And I would just say, well, this is the way I do it. And I would just, blah, 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 blah. And I would see them like taking notes left and right. And I was like, okay, like it just made sense to me. And I didn't realize until I began to get more and more people, when I would say that I was going to be speaking at something, and like I'd have more and more people in the room, and then I'd have people come up to me and say, God, I just love when you train referral marketing. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is the little girl that barely got out of speech class, and I have people showing up wanting to hear me talk about referral marketing. And I remember as time went on, I had someone come, and I was sitting down with them, and I was working through their referral marketing, and it just made complete sense to me. This is your industry, this is your target market. And what kills me is I probably know people's target markets better than they do. And just because, one, I've been working and training different industries for quite some time, but to me, it's just so crystal clear of the direction they need to go in. And so, so I'll just start, I'll ask some questions, a few questions, and then I'll immediately, it just starts making this mapping system, and I begin to, to map it out. And then as soon as I know someone's target market and I've got a crystal clear picture of that target market, immediately I can identify who will be ideal referral generators for them. And that's where, the Inspired Sunshine came from. It was just all about, plugging in those different target markets, those attributes, what are the things that makes that person, makes that industry, or that problem, the thing that you want to offer the solution to. And so over the years, I began obviously to train more and more. And I had someone look at me one time and she said, why aren't you doing this full time? And I remember thinking, well, what do you mean? I feel like I do it full time all the time, but I was still an accountant at the time. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you could do this. You could teach people how to grow their business doing referral marketing. And at the time it was just like, what are you talking about? And that was very close to the time that I was introduced to David Crumbaugh, who is one of the co-founders with Inspired. And, I remember the week, it was a very strategic week for me when I had really made that conscious decision that I was going to train referral marketing, and I was going to go out there and I was going to conquer the world and train. But I remember there was this one instance that really was for me, one of the catalysts that made me realize that I can make an impact on somebody's life. And there was this lady, we were in a class, and we were there for a couple of days, and we were at a large conference center, and we were near, in order to go to eat lunch, we had to walk quite a ways into downtown Disney, and we could go eat. And the first day we all left class during the lunch hour, and we all walked together, and we're all getting to know each other. And I didn't really pay much attention to it, but it was quite a walk. And the next day we were all getting ready to walk again, and I noticed that when we got over there, one of the ladies that was in our group didn't walk with us. And she was a rather large lady, so walking that kind of distance was really a challenge for her. And I just have a heart for people who have really battled, with weight. And so I was sitting there thinking the next day, like, gosh, how can I make this where it's not uncomfortable for her? But out of everyone that was down in the class, I didn't fly into Orlando. I actually drove my car. So my car was actually sitting in the parking lot. And so I went up to her at the end and I said, would you mind? It is so hot. I was like, it is so hot here today. Do you mind if we jump in the car and we'll ride over there real quick? We can have air condition. And I just remember her thinking, because she didn't want to be left out, right? And so I remember that she said yes. And I said, well, do you mind if we just go by ourselves? And so we went, we picked a restaurant. I'll never forget, it was downtown Disney, and a Wolfgang Puck restaurant is where we were at. And so we get to sit there, and I'm talking to her, and I said, well, tell me about your business, and tell me how referrals are working for you. And I remember she looked at me and she said, I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you this. And I was like, what? And she said, she goes, I don't get referrals. And I was like, but you're in a referral group, and you've been in there for how long? And you're leading, your area. And I was like, what do you mean you've never gotten a referral? And she's like, I've never gotten a referral. I said, for how long? How long have you been part of this group? And she was like 3 years. And I was like, wait a minute. You invest into something for 3 years. You go on a weekly basis. You're on average putting 2 to 3 hours into something every single week, and you've yet to generate any return on investment for this. And she was just sitting there, and she was like, yeah, nothing. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. What is your industry? Because I'm thinking this has got to be some really hard industry that is, like we don't just run into the target market. And she said, well, I sell accounts receivable factoring. And I just looked at her and I was just like, I don't understand. I was like, what do you mean you're not getting referrals for that? Like, it made perfect sense to me who would be a good referral for her. And I remember we pulled out the napkins and I just started writing, and I was like, okay, because being an accountant, I knew how, what her referral was for accounts receivable factory. And I just started mapping it out. And I'm drawing all these notes. I was like, and this should be your referral, and this is how you should ask for it, and this is your referral partners. And I'm just scribbling as fast as I can. And I look up and she's just crying. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Amy, I cannot believe you just made this wonderful, sweet woman cry in this meeting. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was just profusely apologizing. And I felt so bad. And I'll never forget this. She got up and she just hugged me and she said, I've never seen anything like this. And I just remember thinking, I just need to crumple up this napkin, And she was like, no, please, 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 can I just have it? And of course, I'm looking down at it and it's just like scribble. And I was like, well, at least let me write it neater for you. And she was like, no, I want it just like it is. She goes, I promise you, I understand everything you just said. And I was like, okay. And so, I'm sitting there as I am when I get stupid excited about someone else's business. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. I'm at this conference where I know there's got to be people, because she's got a business that doesn't necessarily have to be local referrals. And so I just made it my mission to start putting some feelers out at that conference. And it was really cool because by the end of the conference, she came up to me. She says, you're not going to believe this. She goes, I've had 4 conversations with people who said that they can help me, and I actually was able to close on a referral before I left. And I knew right then, I was like, this is someone who was never generating referrals for her business. And I was able to just break it down to this very simple steps, and it just kind of show her how she just needed to map this out and change her words and teach people how to do it. And then if people knew that she really needed referrals and how to do it, how they could just go have conversations on her behalf. And and then I say, like, right there within the next few days, right there is when David Crumball and I were introduced. So another referral, we were introduced, and he had read an article that I had written, and being a CPA, he said, I'm interested to see what it would be like as 2 accountants writing a book, teaching other accountants how to grow their practices using referral marketing. And I remember putting his card in my clutch and saying, okay, I'll call you. And it was a couple of weeks later, I remember putting that clutch up in my closet, and I see his card, and I thought, oh, this is that accountant that wanted to talk. And so I reached out, and we say the rest is history. The book never got written. We never wrote the book for accountants to grow their accounting firm, but we just celebrated for Inspired. We just celebrated our 11th anniversary right here in October, and I still believe today that I can make an impact on someone's business. I believe that if we can understand your target market and we can help you build who should be your referral generators, and then I could teach you how to turn that list from referral generators into actual professionals who you're meeting with, and that you're training, and that you're teaching the proper word choices, that they can help generate referrals for your business. And I know that will make a positive impact on your bottom line. And as an accountant, I know that that makes a positive impact in your household, in your community, your family. It takes away anxieties when you're not worried about where your business is going to grow from. Like, I know what kind of impact that can make. And, that's really where and why we've stuck with our name here with Being Inspired. We truly do feel that we can inspire others. and we know that we can teach people how to build a referral marketing strategy. So last night I shared with everybody the 2 different ways that we've got where we can help people. One is a slower approach. Obviously, it's a monthly approach. It's going to get you to your referral marketing strategy. It just will take a module a month that drops down, and you'll work through it. You still get the support. You still get a lot of support from the Inspired team and the Inspired community. But the Activator program, the story that I'm talking about, with this young lady, what I was taking her through in the process and ultimately through it and working with her, moving on, is really over the years is where the Activator program came from. And as you can see, it is a fully engaged program. And in each phase, I broke it down to where the roadblocks typically are with the clients, and then what action steps do we need to have you implement in your business? What industries should you be thinking about? What target market? How do we get down to that? And then what milestones are you going to be able to say yes to know that you're moving and slowly building? I don't know if it's slow. This is a pretty fast program. Building a referral marketing strategy that fits your business, fits your personality style, fits your industry, and ultimately creates a sustainable business growth plan. And it's probably, in the long run, like most things, then you're going to make an investment into your business, into yourself. But in the long run, if you're growing your business through referrals, through connecting with other people, it will be amazing what that double hit to your bottom line looks like, where you're increasing your revenue, you're decreasing some of your investments into maybe some traditional advertising expenses. But if nothing else, you're reducing the time that you're having to spend chasing leads and cold calling, because you're able to be more efficient. You're working in your business and you have a program that's working on your business at the same time. So if you're interested in learning more about the 2 programs, I'll put a post down below in the comments, but you can go visit. It's Ecademy dot inspired, so Inspired, inspired Ignite, IGNITE.com. And when you go there, you'll see the 2 different programs. One is the Activator program, and one is the Accelerator program. And so you can go in there, look at the modules. You can go back and look at last night's live video where I'm actually showing you behind the scenes, all the Ecademy, how it works, all the documents and everything like that. So you can go back and look at that. We're looking to this class, the Activator, starts next Monday. So we're getting right here, getting close to launching the next term, which starts October the 14th. And I would love to have you going through the Activator program or the Accelerator program, so that, just like the lady that sat right across from me, I am ready to map out your strategy for you and then help you execute it. So that's it for tonight. I just wanted to jump on here. We're going to put the connections down below. And of course, I encourage you, if you have any questions, you can personal message me. You can email me at success@amydkilpatrick.com if you want to ask me some more questions about it. The strategists are all watching the Facebook Live thing, so if you've got questions there, we're more than happy to answer that. And of course, you guys have seen the testimonials over the last few days where we've been sharing those from different people that I've either worked with or have gone through our program. But again, I hope you guys have a fantastic night. If you've got any questions, just reach out to me. But always remember to go out and inspire others.